All right, folks, welcome back to The Plank, presented by Ram. And do you play fantasy football?
I do. I do here and there,
How
yes.
you doing?
I'm done. I am done.
You're done.
I did not make the playoffs. I don't know. I play fantasy football. I don't necessarily play fantasy football well. So, yeah.
Really?
Did not make it.
Okay, you ever watch Mike McGuire's segments?
I do, and I have learned much watching what he has to say.
Okay, well, let's see what he has to say this week. Mikey, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Week 16 here on the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. Now, we're getting near the end of the season. Hopefully, your team's still in the playoffs. We'll talk about the Bucs game last week, talk about a couple key injuries that occurred, and if your team is still alive in the playoffs, we'll talk about a few players that you might want to start this week. Now, let's start with the Bucs. Another week and another loss. Now, the good news is this nightmare of a season is almost over. The bad news is we've got the Green Bay Packers this week, and the Packers come in with the second highest scoring offense in the NFL. Let's look back to the game last week against Carolina, though. Doug Martin, for the second week in a row, looked really impressive. He almost had 100 yards rushing. Now, when you take Doug Martin and Charles Sims, the Bucs might have a pretty decent running game next year if we can get this offensive line figured out. Now, Mike Evans, who we usually can count on for a lot of production, had his worst week of the season, only 2 catches for 13 yards. Luckily for fantasy owners, one of those catches was for a touchdown. Vincent Jackson added 6 catches for 70 yards, and oddly enough, the Bucs will have 2 wide receivers finishing the year with over 1,000 yards receiving. And that's in large part because pretty much no one else has done a darn thing for the Bucs this year. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here this week and say that you're going to want to start Doug Martin. Green Bay comes in allowing the 7th highest yard total to running backs this season in the NFL. And I think we're going to be running the ball a lot to try to keep Aaron Rodgers and that high-powered offense off the field. So look to start Doug Martin. Again, like usual, Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson, expect them to contribute as well. Next, let's talk about a couple of those injuries. Like I said, none bigger than DeMarco Murray with the Cowboys. The NFL's leading rusher broke his hand and had surgery this week. He's not going to play in Week 16, and that's a huge blow not only to Murray's fantasy owners, but for the Cowboys as well. Another big injury was Frank Gore in San Francisco. He got a concussion against the Seahawks last week, and he's most likely going to be out. Now, the problem with that is his backup, Carlos Hyde, also got an injury last week. But if Hyde is able to play this week, he might be somebody you want to look at if you need help at running back. Now let's talk about a couple of guys you might want to start. Every week, fantasy owners across the country usually have 1 or 2 roster positions that they're struggling with on who to play that week. This late in the season, it usually isn't the quarterback position. So we'll talk about a couple wide receivers out there that you may want to start. The first one is Harry Douglas. Now, hopefully you listened to me last week when I mentioned him, because it looks like Julio Jones still might not be ready to come back from that hip injury. And last week, Douglas had 10 catches for 130 yards. Now, I don't think his production will be quite as high this week, but I still think he's a safe bet for about 10 to 12 points. Another guy that you might want to add is Michael Crabtree. Now, he's been a big disappointment all season long, but I've already talked about how the 49ers are banged up at the running back position. So if they aren't able to run the ball, I think that they'll try to get some of those short screen passes to Crabtree going, so you can expect probably about 8 to 10 catches from Crabtree this week. And the last guy you may want to look at is Stedman Bailey, a wide receiver for the St. Louis Rams. I mentioned him a few weeks ago, and each week his production is going up and up. The last 4 games, he's averaged about 80 yards a game. And the Rams are starting to figure out more ways to get him involved in the offense. So I think if you do need help at a 3rd wide receiver position, you might want to look at Stedman Bailey to see if he's available. So that's all we've got now for Week 16 here on the Ram Fantasy Football Tailgate. I'm Matt McGuire. Thanks for watching. And remember to use #ThePlank on Twitter if you have any questions.
All right, words of wisdom from Matt, not Mikey. Right?
Mike? Come on, Tom. What week is it? Like 10? Every week. You have no teleprompter and you call him Matt every week.
Except this week.
And now you call, uh-oh. Hold on. We're going to check the battery.
You got a battery problem? Are we okay, let's see what happens.
Okay. So
Okay.
we're having some technical issues right now.
That's okay. I want you to all know that we have light at the end of the tunnel here.
How's the battery?
You may all be in the dark, but we have light. I can see the light. Can
There's
you see
light
the light,
at the
Greg?
end of the tunnel.
There we
There we
are.
are.
There we
See?
go.
It's like we never left.
You know, I just think there's atmosphere. I think we might have a poltergeist.
Could be. I kind of worry
Do you
about.
think so?
I'm not pointing fingers, but
I know.
Don't blame me.
Yeah?
Don't blame
What do
me.
you got,
Tom.
Guido running around here goofing things up? Huh?
Hey! Really? Well, you know, us Italians, we have a lot of them around here. Oh, the guy named Guido. Oh, okay.
All right. Well, listen. We also have a thing. We should probably have. Let's do. What do we have? Oh, I know what we have. We have someone. I'm not sure who this someone is.
Bren Herrera.
Okay. Who?
Bren Herrera.
Bread Herrera?
Bren.
Bread?
Bren. Like bread?
Speak it up, will you? You knocked us off the air again.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What's the name?
Bren.
Gwen?
Bren. B-R-E-N.
Thank you.
Herrera. Yeah, she's awesome.
Is she
I
awesome?
think she has some, tailgating food things for us.
Yeah, well, let's listen to her.
Okay.
Okay, Bren.
And it's tailgating season. We have plenty of football parties to still enjoy before the end of the season. And as we gear up for Super Bowl Sunday in February, I've got some ideas for you to make at home for your parties and for your tailgates. I know you guys have one this coming weekend against the Packers. So if you're going to go to the tailgate, or you just want to invite some friends over and have some really fun food that's very different from your wings or your French fries or your even traditional cheese and pepperoni pizza, I've got a really quick, super delicious flatbread recipe for you. And you're going to wow your friends. They're going to want you to host tailgate parties all the time. So you're going to take a pre-made pizza dough. It can be wheat or regular. You're going to roll it out if you're really ambitious in the kitchen, you can buy wheat in a big ball, roll it out to 8 to 12 inches, or if you're running super late or have no time or little time, you can buy a pre-made pizza flatbread dough the way that I have here. The pie is already done for you. They do the work. So you're going to take hummus, any kind of flavored hummus. My friends over at Sabra, and they actually happen to be the dip sponsor of the NFL this year. I took their their sun-dried tomato hummus, and I spread it all over the pie, put it in the oven for 10 minutes, took it out, not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes, took it out, and then I started layering. I took little cherry tomatoes, sliced it up. The really beautiful flavor in here is onions, shallots, and figs. Who doesn't love figs? Mince all that up with a little bit of sage for about 4 minutes on high. Come back over here, spread that out evenly on your pie, and then come back after you've pulled it out of the oven. Put arugula on it. If you like spinach, spinach could work too. Put arugula on it, a few more cherry tomatoes, and pomegranate seeds because they're in season and they're really fun. Your friends will be totally impressed with you. And to top it all off so that you could see what your final product and flatbread pizza will look like, a little bit of espresso balsamic. If you can't find espresso balsamic, which is a little bit on the high end, any nice balsamic glaze will do. And then finally, a few more sliced figs on there. You can shave a little bit of cheese, and you're good to go with your flatbread. All of this literally takes no more than 20 minutes. And, of course, you always want to be able to have chips and dips. We've got, Sabra has about 12 dip options. My favorite one is the pine nut, roasted pine nut, and their new one, which is a tapenade, which is a whole bunch of beautifully minced olives inside the hummus. For more tailgating and football party tips, because you still have time to cook up and go to your tailgates this weekend and through the end of the season, go to flamboyanteats.com, and I'll have plenty of recipes for you there to make and impress your friends.
Hey, how about that? Not bad. Have you ever had a pizza? I never heard of that kind of pizza. That's just a conglomeration of things I've never had, actually.
I'll try it.
Everything but the cheese. I've had the wheat and the cheese. I've never had anything in between.
It looked good.
Tom?
What?
You haven't done this all night, but I've been checking Twitter. And I got a tweet.
You got a tweet?
Now, don't get mad.
Okay, what do you got?
All right. It says, next year should be John and Ralphie for the plank.
John and Ralphie?
Yes. And the guy that wrote it was at T. Curran. I don't know who wrote that.
Somebody hacked into my account?
I think it was you, Tom.
We got to get Ralphie on Twitter.
Yeah, you can go at Ralphie, blood on the face with Santa hat, and you can reach me there.
You reach you there?
Yep.
Yeah.
At Ralphie, blood on the face with Santa hat. That's where you can tweet me.
Got you. Beautiful.
Awesome.
You going to change it for the seasons?
Yeah.
You do?
January 1st, I'm going to have a New Year's hat.
Are you really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
And then, of course, spring break towards April. Bathing suit time.
Where are you
I
going
don't
to put
have
that?
to buy anything.
I was going to say, where are you going to put that?
I don't know, Tom. I'll show you where I'm going to put that.
Okay, Ralphie, we got to go to break. See, Craig, you see what I got to put up with?
Yes.
You know, you see? Okay, we got the plank coming up and more. Hang in.